Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
Every driver, even with a little driving experience, is familiar with the right-hand rule, or interference that occurs on the right side. This rule from the traffic rules is given an important place. Moreover, the interference on the right is even considered a basic postulate on the road. When complying with this canon, there may be controversial moments that a novice driver may not be aware of. We took the liberty of telling everything that has to do with this type of obstacle. At the end of this conversation, you will have no doubts regarding actions relative to other road users on unregulated sections. Definition of the concept. To begin with, it is necessary to understand the concept of obstacle on the right. This information will allow you to clearly understand the essence of further conversation and not to confuse this rule with other concepts from the traffic rules. Such a concept is relevant on those sections of the road that are not equipped with regulatory signs. The interference on the right quotes a paragraph from the traffic rules under the number 8.9. The essence of this paragraph boils down to the following. The absence of any regulated form, which is aimed at regulating the sequence of passage of vehicles, provides for the separation of drivers taking into account the presence of an obstacle on the right side. It must be clearly understood that the car, which is the obstacle on the right, must be passed. Only then you can start moving, provided that there are no other cars on the right side. Now let's deal with an equally important issue, which often becomes a stumbling block: how to determine the obstacle on the right. When approaching a section of road that is not equipped with regulatory signs, it is necessary to make sure that they are completely absent. Standing at the fork, pay attention to the vehicles that are relative to your car are on the right side. Such road users will be considered as an obstacle, which must be given the right of way. If the lines of travel, yours and the car on the right, coincide, you must give way and wait for the other car to complete the maneuver. Only if there are no cars on the right side, you can continue driving. We have analyzed what the obstruction on the right means, and in theory, everything seems to be clear. In practice, there are a number of controversial situations that can put in a stupor. These situations should be studied in detail, so that on the road there are no problems. Read also, such a variety of trailer sockets examples of possible interference on the right. It's time to deal with how right-hand interference works in practice. We've gathered some of the subtleties and exceptions. When leaving a dirt road, a car is not mistaken for an obstacle that needs to be passed. This type of road is always considered a secondary road. The turn-on does not play any role and does not affect the situation. On the road, regardless of the turn, the car must be allowed to pass. Next, we will look at common situations where the rule seems to be controversial. You should know who must give way, for example, at an intersection or when changing lanes. If you apply this information correctly in practice, you can avoid accidents and unpleasant consequences. Problems at intersections. Interference on the right at an intersection is a common situation that a driver may encounter several times a day. It is necessary to know the rules of crossing unregulated intersections. This knowledge will help you navigate freely on the road, do not create problems for other road users, and avoid accidents. At intersections, the right-hand rule operates in the following way. If there are equal opportunities for drivers to miss the vehicle that is on the right side, the difficulty is related to the dynamism of traffic, which is characteristic of large cities with a large number of vehicles. There are situations when this rule does not apply. We will talk about them further. Rebuilding between lanes. No less controversial are the situations that arise when realigning on a multi-lane road. Not always a car is taken as an obstacle to the right when realigning across lanes. If we refer to the traffic rules, we will see the following interpretation. When making a maneuver of rearrangement, the driver is obliged to give the opportunity to pass those vehicles that are moving on the same way and do not change direction. If two vehicles that are moving on the same way relative to each other simultaneously make a maneuver to rebuild, the advantage should be given to the car that is on the right side. Read also, the car hit the wheel in the manhole. What to do and how to get compensation to facilitate the assimilation of the above material We have selected several options that are often encountered on the road when traveling in your lane from the neighboring side of the car is rebuilt. You do not need to let it pass. This driver must wait until the moment when the cars will not be in the lane and then make a maneuver. When moving to the left lane, another car from this lane also wants to make a maneuver. In this situation, your vehicle is an obstacle to which it is necessary to give way. The rule under consideration applies here. When you change to the right lane, another car from that lane also makes a maneuver. This is where you give way. On the ring, the right-hand obstruction rule applies in the same way. The specifics of realignment do not differ from those described above. When entering the ring, the car must pass all vehicles that move on it without changing the direction of movement. Where the right-hand rule does not apply, this rule does not always apply. There are a number of situations in which the right-hand rule loses its force. They are all described below. Different statuses of road users. Rail vehicles are not subject to this rule. They are always allowed to pass. Unequal priorities with respect to the positions of the participants, which falls under the regulation of signs, traffic, lights, or regulators, starting to move or reversing. Moving through an additional traffic light sign. When entering a bridge, the driver passes vehicles that are already moving across it, in which case the vehicle is not perceived as an obstacle. We have covered a lot of things, including when this rule does not apply. This information is not only mandatory to study, it must be memorized and never forgotten. It should be stored in your head, and the principles of the rule should be followed automatically. In this case, you will never become the culprit of an accident. It can happen only because of another uninformed driver. Not for nothing, the obstacle on the right is considered the main rule in traffic rules. In conclusion, understanding right-hand interference and the right-hand rule is essential for navigating various situations, whether on the road or in everyday interactions. By recognizing who has the right of way and when to yield, we can foster smoother communication and cooperation. Remember, these principles not only apply to driving but also to social dynamics, ensuring that we respect each other's space and intentions. By applying these guidelines thoughtfully, we can create a more harmonious environment for everyone involved. Thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.